Cyrus, let me come to you. At the core of this, you've got the two superpowers. You've got the United States of America, you've got China. They are both huge superpowers. Historically, America has been number one. It's very arguable now that that is still the case. We may not know the full extent of China's power, but you know China well. What do you think China's actual aspiration is for the world?
It's a great question, Piers, and I think it's very simple when you look at how China has transformed over the last 40 years. I mean, let's not forget that over 800 million people in China have been lifted out of poverty into the middle class. I think when you go to China and you spend time there, Piers, you know this firsthand. You made an amazing documentary of your time in Shanghai.
On that point, Cyrus, I went to Shanghai for 3 weeks and I was amazed. It was nothing. In a way, I haven't been as amazed until I went to Riyadh and discovered how different that was to the preconceived perception I've been led to believe it was like. But yeah, I was stunned by China, actually. Well, let me put it this way. I was stunned by what I found in Shanghai.
But what's interesting, you went to Shanghai, which is the most cosmopolitan, most advanced modern society, in China, the biggest city. But go to the 5th tier, 6th tier cities, go to villages that have been transformed over the last 20 years. You'll be able to see continuous progress throughout all of China, from the big cities down to the small cities. Piers, there was a 10-year Harvard Business Review where they actually polled Chinese citizens and actually wanted to see the level of support for the government. But when you go down to these rural areas, these villages, this is where you find the biggest amount of support for China's government because they see the tangible results. I think that to answer the key point of your question is, what is China's vision for the world? What does China want to achieve? The first thing is they have to take care of 1.4 billion people. Right along with India, China has one of the most populous nations in the world. It has a tremendous amount of responsibility. Yes, there's economic downturn right now, real estate crisis. I mean, it's not all, roses over there in China, but they're learning to deal with that. They're adapting, they're changing strategies. Again, they're moving forward, renewable energy, things that are completely transforming the future of our entire world. When you look at the global South, and this is why the BRICS organization and the global South is thriving right now, and why there's so much momentum in this movement, because a lot of people around the world, and again, you have to remove yourself from this Western media bubble and people that want to fearmonger about China and preach to you that, China hates America. China wants to take down America. That couldn't be further from the truth. Chinese people, when you go there and connect with them, they want to do business with America. Chinese has always been welcome to American business. And the simple fact is that I think China wants to have a multipolar world. They're never going to say, hey, we don't want you to work with America. We don't want you to work with the United States. In reality, China has been very appreciative of America. They've been recognizing, hey, look, you're a superpower, we're a superpower. Why don't we, if you're a developing country in Africa, why don't you do business with both of us? We're not saying that you should only do business with China, but unfortunately, that is not the same case for the United States, which we continually go to Africa and we don't provide any investment. We don't provide any tangible benefits. We simply say, you should not be doing business with China because they're not a democracy like we are. But yet, look at the state of democracy in the United States. Vast majority of Americans would not agree that we are a democracy right now. So again, it's looking into that mirror and looking at how we can improve ourselves. This is what China is doing. They're looking at how can they improve, how can they advance, and how can they take care of their society. The stark contrast between the two is you have a government that is looking forward, taking care of their society. There's been so many wars, so many conflicts, so many trillions of US dollars that has been wasted for the American public. This is the biggest problem. And so, and again, what I see right now is a big problem. I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm a proud American. I love my country, but I see us being isolated on the world stage because of the actions of Donald Trump. And I've never seen America's reputation amongst the world at the lowest point it is right now. Piers, you're a European. You understand this. Go to Europe. What is Americans' perception in Europe right now? Go to Canada. Go to Asia.
I want to leave the last word to Barker as the lady of the panel. And it's this. It's. Would you rather be mates with America or China?
Look, I think India was leaning towards the United States of America quite clearly without being an ally. And that would be where the natural affinity would have lain because of a shared sort of set of democratic values, but also because globalization equals westernization for large sections of the Indian elite or middle class. I myself studied and grew up in New York. So, and there are many, many sort of people like me. But that said, Piers, despite my skepticism about China, despite my natural affinity with America as a nation state, I think my sense of pride and self-respect as an Indian is offended by any country and any leader assuming that it has the right to tell me and my country what to do, how to conduct ourselves, and so on. And I think what Americans are not getting about the Indian response is this. For us, this is not about tariffs and trade, and you can have a whole argument about this. For us, this is about sovereignty. We are still emerging from our history, with the British. We're still emerging from our history with the empire. We're a new nation that had to fight for our autonomy, our independence. And I think for India, it is about that. I just want to make one quick last point. I don't know, we didn't mention that the Americans are actually taking a 10% markup on weapons that they're now selling to Europe that are then being sent to Kyiv. So for Trump, everything is about business. So let's not pretend that this has a lot to do with morality and ideology. Point one. Point two, unless Trump can cut a deal with the Chinese, and it's possible, anything is possible, the old American calculation that India was somehow going to be the countervailing force to the rise of China in the Indo-Pacific, Trump has challenged and upended American calculations there. Forget what we're thinking. And somebody's got to think about whether that's smart.
Everyone, I wanted to end today's video with Ms. Barkadut's final message because I feel it's so powerful and relative to the global shift we see happening around the world today. Remember her words. India was leaning towards the United States because of a shared set of democratic values. But Trump's attack against India's sovereignty was a red line that the US president should have never crossed. I brought that point up earlier when I explained to Piers how Canadians have turned against the United States. Piers, of course, didn't believe me, but many of my long-term viewers know I lived in Canada for many years. I'm a dual US and Canadian citizen and know the facts of the situation. This meeting in Beijing will go down as one of the most important events in our new multipolar world. And if the US government was smart, it would reflect on the changes that are rapidly happening and learn that bullying and attacking others will never work as an effective foreign policy. Everyone, thank you for making it to this point of the video.